I mean, this is just like an extension of what is like a broader political and social media issue in general, which again extends to Twitch, of course, as well, which is basically in 2020, 2021, if you are perceived to be on the correct side, then you can make whatever mistakes you want to make. Like as a, political example, if Black Lives Matters people are doing abhorrent things, then generally that will be, it's not like they'll say, oh, I support them, that they're, being violent or looting, whatever. Yeah. But it will just be, oh, this was a mistake that we have a lot more sympathy for because they're still on the correct side of the aisle, right?
Yes.
And that is extended in esports and on Twitch, especially to the nth, where it's like Twitch will always be very quick and very deliberately will ban anything which is perceived remotely controversial whatsoever, because even if they got it wrong, even if they got the punishment wrong or whatever, it doesn't matter, because the overarching thing they will always fall back on is we are on the right side, so we're allowed to make mistakes, which is obviously a ludicrous fallacy, because let's say you're on the quote-unquote wrong side, but you do something correct, you're never going to be met with the proportionate reaction as you would be if you'd actually done the wrong thing, but you're on the right side, right? It's just this complete paradox which has always existed. And I don't want to make this like, right about right versus left or something like that, because, whatever, I would actually like consider myself like more left leaning, if anything. But it does seem that anything which is even sort of tenuously attached to the wrong side of the political aisle, even in the context of gaming or just being edgy, which is apparently now like just belongs to one side of the aisle and not the other, which is bizarre, will always be disproportionately punished. And they can do that and get away with it repeatedly because they are playing for the correct team.
Yes, so you can see which way the wind's blown on that one.
Yeah, and by the way, this is again Froskurinn in a nutshell, right? Froskurinn, and no one has to co-sign this. In my opinion, she is a disgusting human being. I think she's absolute scum of the earth. But she will never, no matter how many like other individuals would want to say that or agree with that, or whatever. Generally speaking, unless, mountains move, she will never be considered that because she is perceived to be playing for the correct team. And she is supporting, even though her arguments are trash and not consistent, and actually, if you break them down, don't even help her own cause, because her arguments are quote unquote for the correct team, she is never anything other than a victim, and she is on the correct side. And if you attack her, you are an oppressor and she is the oppressed.
Yeah, basically, if people don't know, like if people don't know, I've basically tried like my hardest to fucking find a way mentally to frame it that like, because I knew her in the past when I thought she was a very upstanding person, that she is a very diligent individual, blah blah blah, etc etc etc. Before she got radicalized by politics. Basically, I always tried to find a way to do what you'd like to do, which is like, let's separate the person from their work, and then if the work's good, we'll just big that up, because obviously that used to be the naive dream of what the esports utopia would be, which would be like everyone leave all the other shit at the door, just do some good work. Don't be a fucking arsehole. Don't ever do anything wrong. And then, we can all argue in private groups about that, or you can just use your Twitter for that if you really want, But in this particular case, like if people don't know one of the examples I'm going to point to was obviously the one where she basically made quite an absurd sort of racial judgment about her former fucking colleagues on a broadcast, and then did two things that were mad to me. First of all, you could literally not make this racial judgment about any other race in any other context in the world. And this is not a political statement. That is just basically, I would say like, I wouldn't say objective fact. I would just say like the evidence bears it out. Let's just put it that way. Then there's the angle that when she was called out for this, not by many people, I'll again notice, despite how much they're all virtue signaling, the big problem is there was two angles. One, people tangential to her took the angle that because she'd used the term white, they went, well, technically there isn't anything called white, because actually that's correct. That if you look, it was something that was invented in like the 20th century as a way to make, for example, like Irish people think they'd oppress people that they had no connection with whatsoever. It was basically like a side angle. So even though in the most trivial sense they're correct in that, what you're saying is I can use this term as a powerful weapon that means a lot to everyone, and then simultaneously if I get caught I can just go like Bill Clinton style, like, well, what is the word is really in the end. So similarly, right, then the other angle was she did the classic move for people who are from this school of activism, which is like a very aggressive type, which is, again, it's a Mott and Bailey. You come out with this super bold statement, which, by the way, you intend to offend people. Because, in fact, part of the mechanism of what you're going to do is when people get offended, you're going to go, look how bad racism is in this. Look at the way these people are misconstruing what I'm saying. And then you're going to then claim, I maybe phrased it the wrong way, but I was trying to start a conversation. Now, again, all I'll say in line with what Rich says is try making a mega edgy comment in a different direction on the compass. It's not just left, right, obviously. And then try saying, well, of course, what I meant behind it was this thing over here, you know. I can tell you myself, that doesn't work. Like, that is definitely not allowed. They can read your mind and know what you meant. Like, no one else gets to choose their interpretations. Anyway, that's a bit by the by, but definitely, by the way, I think it ties into the cronyism angle, because just look at the people who have everything to say about every other topic. And then, as you say earlier on, Rich, it's how conspicuous the silence is. That actually tells you more, by the way, than if they'd have even given like a piecemeal, like, yeah, probably shouldn't do that. Like, the fact they say nothing, they essentially, because they go out of their way with every other topic, it's actually what I call Froskurinn out with the neon thing in the first place. You essentially tacitly did co-sign those other things by the fact that this is what pissed you off the most, not all the other shit. That is a real thing, in my opinion.